Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming a very gorgeous lady from cult movies of the late 80s, early 90s, and I'm talking about Crystal Carson. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous lady. She made her film debut in the Kelly Maroney classic, The Zero Boys, alongside another guest of mine, Nicole Rio. She was also in Who's That Girl? She had a recurring role on Dallas and General Hospital. She did, of course, a Killer Tomato Strike Back, in which she's like sandwiched in a BLT or something like that. It's been a long time since I've seen it. I'm having her on the show today to talk about all of that. And she's also an acting teacher. And, you know, I've interviewed a lot of actors who became teachers, and it's become their main source of income, and it's also their passion. And I love to talk to people like that who, if they can't make money doing what they love, they teach it. So, here is my interview with Crystal Carson. Hey, Crystal.
Hey, Tommy.
I just got your email that you sent me after the okay about the artwork. I wish I did have artwork for you to advertise.
Oh, well. Do you want to postpone?
Oh, not at all. I think we should go right ahead. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know how I got that now instead of yesterday. I usually get every email right away.
I don't know. Computers have been so wacky since this whole thing started. I've noticed a lot of weirdness. I don't get voicemails on time and stuff.
Yeah. How's everything with you during this time of quarantine?
Well, pretty good. I've had a little bit of a sinus infection and just coming out of that. So it's been a good time to lay low anyway. So good, I guess.
Yeah, I had a sinus infection in the very beginning of this, but fortunately it's gone now. So
good. So you're doing, and your family's well?
Yeah.
Good.
That's just me. It's me, my mother, and my cat. That's it.
Yeah, I worry about mothers.
Yeah, but we're doing fine, and we're just staying in and only going out if we need to. But this is such a wonderful honor. Thank you for taking the time today.
Oh, of course. Thanks for giving me something to do.
Yeah. So, going back in time, did you gravitate toward acting early on in your childhood?
I did.
Mm-hmm. Did you do a lot of school plays and community theater?
Well, my father died when I was 7, and so I had to work a lot for my mother. And when my first grade teacher asked me if I wanted to be in a play after school, I thought she asked me if I wanted to play after school. And I was like, yeah, I would love to play after school, but my mom, has stuff I have to do at the house. But my mom loves you, my teacher, so would you ask her?
Yes,
and she did ask, and my mom thought, well, this is an educational thing. Plus, my mom turned out to be a theater buff. And so I got to see Piglet and Winnie the Pooh, and it was so much fun. And the teacher was really cool. Instead of, giving kids line reading, she would ask you philosophical questions about what it felt like to, have Pooh eat all the honey and not share any of it when you are a piglet. A piglet loves to eat. And I was like, whoa. So, I liked it, and I asked her if I could do more. And my teacher had suggested the Lincoln Community Playhouse. And so they had a class that started for kids at 4:30. I got out of school at 3:15, so I could walk there and make it on time. And I talked my mom into that, which got me out of some more work I had to do. So I was glad to get out of the work. But that teacher wasn't quite the same. She knew that parents were paying for this class, and at the end of it, there was going to be a play. And she thought this play better be good, or they wouldn't sign up again. Whereas the teacher in school just wanted us to learn things. And so she'd give us line readings. And I had to tell Miss Annette I didn't think that was a very good way to direct. And after a while, she got tired of me chiming in and asking questions about, how does a tree feel when the wind blows or whatever we were doing. And she suggested that if I knew so much about acting, which clearly I did, she said, which made me feel terrific. I didn't catch the tone. And then maybe I should teach my own class. So I went up to the front office and I told them, Miss Nanette thinks I should teach a class. And they laughed and thought that was really cute. Mm-hmm. And some of the moms were picking up kids to go home. And I started saying, do you want to be in my class? As they were passing. And the mom says, oh, are you teaching here? What time is your class? And I knew most of these kids were all sitting there by the time I walked over, meaning their parents picked them up at school and drove them there. And the parents had to sit there until Miss Nanette got there at 30. So I said, my class starts at 3:30. And figured I'd somehow get there. And the kids were like, can I? And the mom looks over to the lady at the box office, and the box office lady says, sure, let me get your name and number, and we'll just get back to you. So I don't know what they ever charged, but that mom ended up, different moms actually brought me, but their kids went to my school, so I just rode over with them, and I started teaching my first acting class at maybe 9 or 10.
Wow. That's a very funny first experience in the theater.
Yeah.
I
really enjoyed it. And I started, we would work on a lot of the same material that Miss Nanette was doing right after, but I would approach it from asking questions and getting people to decide what they wanted while they were talking and how it felt and what they must have been through to find themselves in this position. And then they would get there, and then Miss Nanette would tell them where to walk and how to say the lines. They all started to fight her, and apparently she didn't like me as much as I thought she did. Anyway, I found that out years later when I went back. I was on General Hospital, and I was invited back to Lincoln, Nebraska, to get the key to the city during their, it had a funny name, but it meant like they were 125 years old. Mm-hmm. And while I was there, the box office lady was still there. She was now a much bigger deal there. And I was telling this story. She said, oh, that is not how the story goes. I was like, what? Oh, no, Miss Nanette did not think you were a prodigy. She thought you were a pain in the butt. Well, I probably was.
So you're born and raised in Nebraska?
I was, yep.
Yeah, an old mentor of mine is from Nebraska, and in fact, his elementary school teacher was Dick Cavett mother.
Oh, wow, yep. Dick Cavett from Nebraska, obviously.
Yeah.
And good old Johnny Carson.
Johnny Carson was too. Yeah, not a whole lot of famous people from Nebraska. Like those two, and you are like the only three I can think of.
Oh, there's actually quite a few. Mr. Culver, who started Culver City and started the Culver Studios, was from Nebraska.
Oh.
There's actually quite a few.
Oh, that's an interesting anecdote. I did not realize that. And I'm an old Hollywood buff, so I didn't even realize that.
See? And you didn't even know that.
Yeah. Well, I learned from you. What year did you move to Los Angeles?
86.
86. And was the Zero Boys your first audition?
My first audition was for Who's That Girl? And I booked that, and they flew me to New York, where I promptly fainted on the set. It was just so much. I had arrived here, and I was still in jet lag and far away from home, and the next thing I knew, I was on a plane to the opposite coast, and jet lagged even more, in a hotel with people I didn't know. It was a lot, as a kid. And apparently I was having panic attacks, but I didn't know what they were. I just knew it was a lot. I woke up from a fainting spell, one fainting spell, I only had one, and found myself in a limo, in the back of a limo with Madonna and she was taking me, we were in New York, obviously, and she was taking me to a personal doctor of hers that was down these steps of a brownstone.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what was going on. And I woke up, she's shoving a lollipop in my mouth. And it was odd. And then we got in there, and this doctor wanted to give me a shot. And I already thought somebody had given me something. I didn't know why my heart was racing, and I didn't know what was going on. I thought, oh my gosh, there was heroin in my breakfast or something. And now this doctor is trying to give me a shot, and I'm kicking at him and hitting him, and she's like, stop it. And finally the doctor said, no, if she doesn't want this, this is just making things worse. And this doctor's like, give it to me. Well, it was a B12 shot. I didn't know what it was. And then, I don't know, I slowly got explained to me, this universe was actually on that set, and she told me, you're having a panic attack, and here's what you should do, and blah, blah, blah. And eventually I got control of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, why am I telling you this? This is weird.
No, I think that's very interesting, Who's That Girl has always been a favorite of mine. That must have been really exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time to be in a movie with Madonna.
It was and it wasn't. There was so much going on, it was such a whirlwind of life that, maybe that was the stress, and that's why all this happened. But there was so much else going on that she was just one more thing. And she was nice, and we got along, and, she liked you if you weren't kowtowing to her. And I remember running into her at 4 a.m, and I had curlers in my hair and no makeup on yet, and I was headed to the makeup trailer, and she saw me, and I was just beat. And she said something like, oh my God, you look like a wet rat, or something like that. And I turned to her, and I remember saying something back to her about, well, you look like a wet rat's ass. And she just laughed.
I love that.
Later that day, we had a bunch more extras and under fives that were coming on the show and needed the makeup trailer. So they had to move some of us into Madonna's trailer and some of us into the various other actors who had their personal makeup trailers. We were moved in with them. And Madonna had asked for me to be moved into hers. So every time her songs would come on the radio, I would go, oh, what is this howling, this screeching? And she'd be like, turn it up, it's amazing, it's brilliant. I'd be like, oh, it hurts my ears. It was fun.
Another guest of mine was a bridesmaid with you, Elaine Wilkes.
I love Elaine Wilkes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How is she?
She's back in Chicago, and she's a self-help guru, and
that makes sense.
She's one of my favorite guests because we spent about 40 minutes talking about how wonderful I am because she heard my podcast and she loved the fact that I started this podcast after my car accident. She thought I was just an amazing person. And then we talked 30 minutes about her movies, and she honestly did not want to do that, but she was happy to do it because she thought I was an amazing person. And then I made her laugh out loud with some dirty jokes. And then on her birthday, I sent her a long list of dirty jokes that I wrote. And I actually talked to her last week, and I love her. She's just amazing herself,
Well, feel free to give her my number and give her a virtual hug.
Okay, I sure will. Yeah. I love it when you're all tied up at the wedding.
Yeah.
And then there's those cops, and that one cop is like, so tell me, girls, are you all together? And you're all like, yeah!
God, I don't even remember the show. That's so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All your faces were priceless, too. Oh, my God, it was so funny.
Oh.
And that guy who played the delivery guy, Buck, Jim Dietz, he died right after that movie. Do you know what he died of?
Not in that. No, I don't recall.
Because he was he was only 27 or something, and it must have been steroids or something.
Yeah, it may have been some kind of, heart attack or, I don't know, OD on something. I don't know.
That's
Didn't
sad.
even make things up.
Yeah, that's sad. But
Yeah, it's really sad.
but when you got the Zero Boys, had you did you just go in for a standard audition?
Yeah, I did. I was trying to remember. I don't even remember the audition. But yeah, I'm sure I did. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've talked to Kelly Maroney and Nicole Rio, and they say that Nico Masterakis wasn't the warmest guy in the world, say the least.
Yeah, he's an interesting character. One of the days on the set that I remember was when I got the part, he had wanted Trish to do some nudity, some topless stuff, and I had said no, I wouldn't do it. They would have to provide a body double. And then on the day, he said he wanted me to do it, and I said, well, I don't care what you want. This is not part of our, this was not part of our contract. This isn't part of our negotiation. And he started getting really irate. And I said, well, I'll be in my trailer, and when the body double gets here, I'll come to the set. And you can talk to my agent and my manager until then. And so I went to my trailer and locked the door. And he was screaming and ranting and raving. He was so angry. And I was so scared on the inside. I acted really cool to him because I don't know why. There was something about him. I could always see his vulnerability and his nervousness. And I knew I knew I had all the cards, I didn't care if I walked off of that movie. And I knew he was wrong, and I knew I had a signed contract, and I had a great manager and agent. Anyway, in the end, he just cut the whole bit because he didn't want to pay the body double, I guess.
Yeah.
And so it never happened. But the props master on the show, he and I had been talking, and he was writing a screenplay, and asked me to read little bits of it, and what did I think of this dialogue, and I would give him some thoughts about it. And he came up to me after, and he was like, that was really cool. You didn't chicken out. You didn't raise your voice. You're going to be a star. He was like, you're cool with a cucumber, and I was like, wow, thank you. So a few years later, I get a call, and I'm invited to the Shawshank Redemption premiere. And I'm like, what the heck? Why am I invited to this? I get there, and they tell me that Frank Darabont, the director and the writer of this movie, had invited me. And I'm like, so I see my friend, the president. What are you doing here? Do you know who Frank Darabont is? He was Frank Darabont. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what you were writing? Oh my God. I'm like, where's my writing credit? But I didn't get one. But yeah, he invited me and Kelly, and I think he invited, I don't know, me and Kelly for sure to Green Mile also. Maybe Nicole too. And was just, it's amazing who people become, and so nice when they stay who they are, And Frank has stayed true to being loyal to his friends and true to his own creativity, and it's cool.
That's what I've heard about him, yes. I remember a couple years after this, he directed a TV movie for USA called Buried Alive, with Tim Matheson, Jennifer Jason Leigh, William Atherton, Hoyt Axton. Great cast. Very scary premise, though, of being buried alive. And
you like scary stuff, man.
Yeah, and it's just it should be remade, though. It was a pretty good idea, but it was a TV movie, But
well, I liked Walking Dead. He did okay with that TV show.
Yeah. But I used to watch the Zero Boys on USA Up All Night when I was a kid in the 90s.
Lord.
Yeah. So how was filming overall? I heard they used the same locations as Friday the 13th Part 3.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. Add that to my repertoire of things to say.
Yeah. But was the filming conditions good?
Yeah, I don't remember it being too bad. I think it was kind of cold at night, and at one point, Trish has a cat. I mean, she has a cat there like the whole time. But I'm underneath a bridge, and there was water and mud under there, and I remember being really cold that night, and that was the night that the snake was supposed to crawl on top of my calf. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? And they came and they showed me the snake, and they had sutured its lips shut so that it couldn't bite me. I'm like, oh my God. Well, this snake, he's cold too, and he's slithering toward me, and he's supposed to go on the calf, but there was just enough space between my leg and the calf. The snake decides to go in the calf. That was not a fun day at all. I had a snake crawling inside my... And then the snake handler pulls the snake out by its tail, and the snake gets upset and strikes at the handler, and then turns and strikes at my calf, and it breaks the sutures, 2 of the 4, probably 1 on each strike. So now I've got this snake with half of its mouth sutured shut, and they want to do the next shot. And I'm like, are all of those little sutures attached? Is this string going to come out like some stem? I was like, this is not fun. But I stayed there, idiot that I am. And the guy had assured me that he'd milked the venom out and all of this craziness. I don't know, but we got the shot and moved on. But that was a very uncomfortable day on the set. I remember.
I'm in a town with snakes, and I am terrified of snakes. I always have been. Oh. Yeah. I remember visiting here when I was a kid, and I'd see like shed rattlesnake skin on the ground, and it just terrified me. I was like, "There's actually snakes here," you know?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan either, but I don't like spiders even more. So I was happy that it wasn't a tarantula.
Oh yeah, spiders scare me too.
I couldn't do it.
Yet I love Spider-Man.
A little different.
Yeah. But my favorite line, my favorite line that Kelly has in the movie is when she says, "My name is Jamie. I'm from Minnesota. I play tennis and I fuck on the first date."
Great line.
Yeah. And I know at least one of those things is true. Kelly is from Minnesota.
That was the one you picked.
Yeah. Kelly was my first friend when I first came to LA a couple of years ago, following the recovery from my car accident. I went to meet her at a convention, and she was doing a theater performance a few days later, and I told her I'd go to it. You know, she didn't expect me to go, but I did, and she was very touched by that. Then I woke up the next day in my hotel, and I get a friend request from her on Facebook, and I just cried because she's always been like one of my top favorite actresses.
Kelly delivered my baby.
Really?
She was my doula. She also has a degree in being a doula, or whatever it would be called. And we had a hot tub here at my house, and she was here for 3 days trying to help me. She was exhausted by the end of it, and so Kelly is very important to me.
Yeah, she's important to me too. You know, I interviewed her at a horror festival about 2 years ago. If I can actually have a phone conversation like we're having now, that would just be the best for me. But
I'm sure you could.
We'll see in the future. Yeah, it's just she's done so many podcast interviews. She's kind of over the whole idea, you know.
Oh.
But we'll see. We'll see. But how was working with Nicole Rio?
She's, they were all so beautiful, just wonderful people. I became roommates with Jared Moses and all of us have remained friends. For a while, Dan owned the Whitefire Theater, and so I would go there and see plays he was doing. And I see Tom Shell on Facebook. We don't really get together. We don't really get together, any of us, but I still feel very close to all of them, and just think of them as very special people.
Mm-hmm. Nicole is very special. I talked to her a couple of months ago, and we just got along great. We had the same sense of humor. Again, she liked my jokes, and she's just non-judgmental and very free-spirited, And, her father was a vaudevillian comedian.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. And so, she's just got that old, that old school, frame of mind and stuff. And I really enjoyed her.
She really does. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed her so much. And also, Martin Sheen's brother was in the movie playing the killer.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, did you get to interact with him?
He was always chasing me because I had the cast, so I was the slowest one. So, yeah. I remember, oh God, was he in that scene? I can't remember. No, I guess it just happened off camera, but, I had a bag tied on my head, and I fall through the ceiling, and then they put me in a chair and then take the bag off my head, and supposedly he had done that to me. But I just remember getting chased by him. And he was on top of the bridge while I was under the bridge with the snake, so I couldn't scream or move because the bad guy was up there with his big, whatever that sword thing was.
Yeah.
Full kind of thing.
Yeah. You had a recurring role on Dallas. How was that experience?
That was a lot of fun because I got to play Sue Ellen in the movie about Sue Ellen's life. So I was basically mimicking Linda Gray.
Yeah.
And Linda Gray directed, I was in, I think, 6 of those episodes, and she directed 2 of them. And so that was kind of a surreal thing to be directed by the person who I was becoming. And not that long ago, not to toot my own horn, I saw an episode of Dallas.
Yeah.
Just for a half a second, I thought it was me. I thought there was something about the way, I thought it was me. And I realized, wow, I really nailed that. Because I had seen myself do it not that long prior to that, because we were going through my garage and found an old video and turned it into digital, and I was watching it. And man, this scene that I saw with Sue Ellen looked just like this scene I had shot. I was like, oh, wow, I did a good job. That really, the way I turned and the way I found the airiness of the voice and the southern accent. I mean, that's pretty good. If I do say so myself 25 years later.
That's awesome.
Oh, older than that. Oh, my God. No, let's not get into that. But anyway. It was a long time ago.
Yeah. Do you remember guest starring on Alien Nation?
Yeah. That was really cool. That was my first sci-fi experience. Later, I did another one that was Blue Star, which turned out to be a video game, but we shot it very much like a movie. But this one, it was really cool, and just to watch the time it took, especially the aliens to put on their prosthetics, and the movie-making aspect of it on a sci-fi show is so much fun. There's so much make-believe and computer graphics, too, and just really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. And there's some great guest stars on that episode you were on, too. Robert V. Barron, who played Abraham Lincoln in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Joe Polis, who actually talked to a couple weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah. Liz Torres, a very funny comedian. And Bonnie Yoursef, I've been trying to find her forever. She stole my heart when I was a kid playing this mentally handicapped woman on Punky Brewster. That's a great guest starring cast.
Yeah.
How about making the movie Cartel?
That was a lot of fun. I remember that being a very bad audition, and I couldn't believe it when I got cast. And I went up to the executive producer at some point, and I said, I didn't think I was very good. I'm so surprised you guys went with me. And he said, yeah, your audition wasn't very good, but we could see that you could act. I was like, oh, thanks. I was expecting him to go, oh, no, it was much better than we thought. But no, apparently I was pretty bad. But I don't know. I don't remember if that was the callback I did so bad and he had seen something in the original audition, or if he could just see through my bad acting that day and see that I had a Trishness to me. But I was like, this is the female lead, and I wasn't very good. And it's not my favorite acting that I have done either. When I do watch it now, I'm like, I wish I could do that role over.
Really? Yeah.
No do-over. It was a lot of fun working with Miles.
He was a stud.
He had a kind of a Clint Eastwoodness about him that we would tease him.
Yeah, he was a stud.
Have you ever had him on?
No, I don't even know if I can find him. I could try.
Yeah, I was just wondering what he was up to. And,
Don Stroud.
what is his name? Darn it. Who was on that show? Oh, no, that was a different one. Never mind. No, that wasn't Cartel.
But Don Stroud was in it.
Yeah, that's right. Don Stroud was in it.
He's a great actor. And, oh, God, I would love to find her, Susie Slater.
Oh, yeah.
You know, she did Chopping Mall with Kelly.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, and her head blows up, not once but twice. We see it halfway through the movie and then again during the end credits.
I was going to say, it doesn't blow up twice, but the end credits, okay.
Yeah, it's all of us guys, of course, we comment on how freakish her areolas were.
Oh, my God.
They looked like slices of salami. Yeah. Then comes the sequel of a notorious franchise, Killer Tomatoes Strike Back.
Yes, that was a blast as well. I think I did a movie called Kiss and Be Killed in between those, but that might not have made the list. But the guy in Greg... Crystal. Oh, my God. I can't believe my mind just went blank. But he is on, now I can't even think of the show he's on right now either, because you would be able to help me probably. I should get in front of my computer.
I'm on IMDb. I'm on IMDb.
Greg Cummings? I just remembered it. I remembered it! Mm-hmm. Without my computer. He's on Bosch now. And super great actor, super nice guy. And he played one of the bad guys on Kiss and Be Killed with Carolyn Ludwig, who has left the business now, but became one of my best friends. Just a really cool, sweet girl. She became bridesmaid at my wedding, in fact. So, what did you just ask me about? Killer Tomatoes. That was a blast. The next year, was it? The next year, yeah, they went to France. And I was like, or else it was the year before, I don't remember, but I remember getting the wrong episode. I was like, or the wrong sequel number. I was like, damn it, I would have liked to have gone to France. But we had so much fun, and we shot that in San Diego, so I got to live in San Diego for a month or two, and at a hotel, an Omni hotel, and I thought I had really made it. That was a beautiful hotel, and we had big cars driving us to set, and it was so much fun. And it let me use a lot of my comedy skills. It was fun, just fun to be in a goofy movie like that. And what's his name? The swimmer was in that too, Steve Lundgren, who I had Thanksgiving with in Atlanta, Georgia last Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
He turns out to be best friends with my sister's boyfriend, and small world. So we're like, oh, killer tomatoes.
Yeah. It's been years since I've seen this, but from what I remember, you were in a BLT or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was made into a sandwich.
Were you familiar with the original?
After I auditioned for it, I went and watched it.
Yeah, I'm sure being a serious actor, you were like, what the fuck did I get myself into?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I also had, I had seen a lot of the script, and I knew it was spoofish, and I'd always really liked Airplane, and I liked John DeBello, the guy who directed and wrote it, so much. He just had this really fun and sense about him. He made every day a lot of fun on set. He was really great about not getting stressed, no matter what the budget was or what shots we weren't getting in before the sun went down. He was just really fun. And, oh gosh, the lead actor on that.
John Astin?
Huh?
John Astin?
Well, John Astin, yes, who just became sort of a mentor to me for a few years.
Oh.
Helped me find helped me find a really good manager, helped me find my tax guy. It just was really great. No, but I met, he went on to do Marry a Millionaire. What was it? I want to marry a millionaire.
Rick Rockwell?
Rick Rockwell, the stand-up comedian, and that's who I played off of it, yeah. He was hilarious. Just constant jokes, and him and John got along so well. He helped write that script, as I recall, as well.
Huh. Yeah, I talked to Costa Dillon last fall. Very interesting guy.
Yeah.
He said they're trying to do another one.
I come down it. They always make money off them.
Yeah, and
I'm surprised that they haven't in a while. Has he said why?
I'm trying to remember. I think I think after the one where they go to France, they were just like, okay, we've beaten the series to death, and then once Comic-Con and everything hit, they were like, okay, let's do another one. And I think they've just been having trouble getting financing because it's such a long departed franchise, and it didn't make huge numbers, but it had a nice little following.
Yeah, it really did, and certainly movies without that much of a following have been remade over and over. So I would be surprised to not see that happen.
Yeah. And also John Witherspoon, who we just lost recently.
Oh, yes. We did?
Yeah. He died. I can't remember. He died like end of last year or something. Yeah, he was very funny, though.
He was probably a little overweight and stuff,
Yeah. And the one before this had George Clooney in it.
I know.
Yeah.
And I think, did they go to France or was it after me? I don't know. But
after you.
Yeah. Either one of them I would have said, that's the better one. But I could have worked with George Clooney or I could have gone to France. But you know what? It was amazing and I would never wish to not do it, that's for sure.
Yeah. What was that BLT made of?
Oh, foam. It was, a big foam tomato, foam bacon, and foam bread.
Yeah, I remember Costa saying that they always used foam for everything.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I didn't know if they used foam or they used rubber or what have you.
Yeah, it wasn't really rubber. I mean, maybe that is what it was made of, but it felt like foam.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little softer than, say, like a styrofoam, but very similar.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't break. It held me on when I fell onto the bread, and it was soft. It kind of had a little give to it.
Yeah. Then you did Kiss and Be Killed.
Yes.
What are your memories of that movie?
Well, that was the one that I was talking about. I was thinking it came before, but yeah, that was the one I was talking about with Greg Cummins in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I It's funny. Jimmy Baio was in the movie.
He was?
Yeah.
Oh, not Scott Baio, sorry. Jimmy Baio.
Yeah, his cousin.
Yes, that's right. I never put that together before.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember Jimmy Baio from the Bad News Bears and Breaking Training, and I interviewed David Pollock, who was in all 3 Bad News Bears movies, and he told me that Jimmy Baio was absolutely hilarious. He was just like he is in the movie Offstage.
he was, such a kid at the time. I guess we all were kids then.
Yeah.
But I think he was fairly new at acting. I remember him, really working hard and being conscientious and a little nervous. I think it may have been one of his first things. Is that true?
Well, in adulthood, probably. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
But he was like probably 15 when he did the Bad News Bears. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that would have been earlier. You're right.
Yeah. How was
it? Being a hard worker.
Yeah. How was working on General Hospital?
Oh, wow. That's a beautiful thing because you audition and then you actually have work for a while instead of, these movies you want it done. You're always having to find the next thing and make the next dollar. But it was really nice to have the financial security of having a job, and beautiful to know what your schedule was going to be, as opposed to last-minute auditions and having to change everything all around. It was just a very peaceful time in my life. And then I wanted to have a baby, and I couldn't get pregnant, and so I did in vitro fertilization. And then I found out that I had to have approval from the powers that be in order to do in vitro fertilization. In other words, I wasn't allowed by law to change my look, purposefully change my look without permission. And so I ended up, kind of going around in circles a little bit over that because they said, no, they prefer I waited. And my doctor was telling me that waiting was not a good idea, that I was on that bridge where you wanted to get pregnant now or it might not happen. And we were already having trouble. So we had to agree to disagree. So I started recurring on the show then. I let my contract go. And luckily, they would bring me back probably every 2 or 3 months for the next years, I think. And it was a really nice experience. I was just at a virtual party with Wendy Rich, who was the executive producer on the show, and Shelley, just lost her last name, but she was one of our producers, and she directed a lot of the episodes. Mm-hmm. So it's neat to kind of stay in touch with them. And Cheryl Richardson was on the show as Jenny, Julia Barrett, my character's best friend, and we became best friends. She's the godmother of my daughter, and it's just beautiful, these relationships you make. One nice thing about working on so many jobs, so many shows, is you meet so many people. If you have a job that goes on like a regular 9-to-5 job, and you stick with that job, you have a handful of really deep friendships, I imagine.
Yeah.
But I've managed to make a lot of really great friends, and so many of them, because I was always working on something new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My mom, she's been watching General Hospital for 40, 50 years now, and she loves it. You got to go on there when Tony Geary came back as Luke.
Well, actually, Gloria Monty, who was the original producer during the Luke and Laura days, wanted to bring Tony Geary back, and he did not want to play Luke. So he had come back as Luke's cousin Bill. So he was playing Luke's cousin. And so that opened up the room, some room for me to be Bill's girlfriend, because had it been Luke, nobody wanted anybody to be with Luke other than Laura. And Laura, Amy Francis did come back on the show eventually, and then Tony got to play Luke and Bill, and then eventually Bill, I don't remember what happened to him, shot or something. I don't remember. He just moved away. My character moved to London. It eventually just became Luke and Laura again, and then Jeannie left and went to another soap. But that was super fun because I had watched Luke and Laura. I would run home from school with my friend. I want to say it was, in my memory, which might be wrong, it was actually middle school, 9th grade, and her grandmother would watch General Hospital, Luke and Laura, and her grandmother would watch her until her folks got home from work. They both worked. And so I would sit there and we would watch. And so later, and then it must have been high school. It must have been high school. But I remember also in college going into the student lounge and watching some more Luke and Laura. Just everybody was hooked on it. Yeah, it must have been high school. And so then to have my screen test with Tony Geary was a little nerve-wracking because I'm like, oh my God, it's Luke. But he did look very different. He got a perm in his hair and stuff.
Yeah.
He wanted Bill to look different than Luke.
Yeah, he's wonderfully eccentric, that guy.
He had a perm in his hair as Luke, I'm sorry, and he would shave his head still. Yeah, he's very, I just love him. And anyone who acts in a scene with him, he believes, he's such a good actor, he believes the world so much, and he's having real thoughts as if he were there, that when you look in his eyes, you can see the thoughts go by, and it becomes real for you too. And I just watch him elevate the actors who he works with. Everybody's a little bit better when they work with Tony Geary.
And everyone I've talked to who's ever done a soap opera, they tell me just how difficult it is because you have to memorize like over 50 pages of dialogue a day, and you can't stop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that part is a little stressful, but it's also, like, I remember when I first started, I remember I worked like 60 days in a row because they had been shooting around Julia. They couldn't find the Julia that they wanted. And they had been shooting entire episodes minus the scenes that she was in. And so when I first started, it was just nobody else, worked except people in my scene because we just shot those and had to get them going fast and get them into the shows that were already done and edited and, ready to go, other than they were missing these scenes. So that was horrific. I didn't have the history of the character yet. I didn't know her well yet. And so memorizing was really difficult. And Tony made it so much easier, though, again, just because he was so present. And I was nervous, and I remember Gloria Monty would stand right next to the cameraman, and she would be mouthing my lines with me. She wanted it to be a certain way, and I could feel her breathing down my neck. And if she didn't like the way I turned my head or the way I said a word or anything, she would stop and we would go again. It was brutal. I remember sleeping on my dressing room floor. We would get done at like 3 a.m, and we would start again at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And no sleep. But having said that, once we got all caught up, then I knew who the character was, boy. Almost, through sleep deprivation, it was almost like I lost reality. And that Julia became me, it was like walking in a dream. It was strange. But when it was over, I knew her so well that when I could see, they had this thing called the Bible, and you can look ahead, and, if you can get a hold of one,
yeah.
You can look ahead and see sort of what the storylines are going to be for each scene. And when I would read, Julia confronts, Cheryl's characters and Jenny about Ned or whatever, I would almost know, because I knew how Julia felt, and I knew how Ned felt, and I knew how Jenny felt. and I could see what the scene was about and where it took place. I almost knew what the dialogue was going to be before I got handed it. And so I can remember they would deliver it sometimes to our houses, like at 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning or something. And the guy who delivered it didn't want to wake us, so he would open up the screen door. But this is before, you would get things on the internet. He would literally drive to your house and put the script for the next day between the screen door and the door. And I would sleep next to that door because he refused to ring the bell and listen for him to open the screen door so I could get it, so I could start memorizing it or whatever. And I can remember driving to work and trying to remember it in the car. And then as soon as we get into makeup, sure as anything, they would come down with new pages, new colored pages. And all the work that I sweated over for the last 2 hours, getting no sleep, waking up early to look at it, was out the window. There's changes to everything. So eventually, I started learning not even to tear when it came. And as soon as I sat in the makeup chair, usually whoever was in the scene with me would be in a chair nearby. Mm-hmm. If not, I had a PA that would help me, and I had an intern, a personal assistant. But we would just say, do you want to run these? And I would read it over once, and then I would just kind of make it up. And my personal assistant would be on book, and she would see, and she was supposed to circle with a pencil any word I got off, or cue me if I got lost. I didn't know at all what to say. Mm-hmm. And we would just run it, me and the other actors sitting in our chairs, getting our hair or whatever done. And I can remember getting done and turning to Leona and saying, all right, give it to me. Where did I mess up? I know I was making stuff up right here. And she would go, no, you're verbatim. I'm like, no, really, don't mess with me. I don't know this. She goes, no, you do. And it got to be the point where I was like, wow, do I have this amazing photographic memory? I didn't. It's just, if you trust that you know the character and you think, what would I want to say right now? What would I think about saying? With just a few cues from her, I would pretty much guess right a lot. Mm-hmm. So for me, eventually, it became really easy to know, because if I was talking about the time I slept with Ned, well, I lived through that. All I had to do was remember it, and then I knew what I wanted from the person I was talking to. So I would just think about those things, and I would say whatever was in my head. Well, because I had just read it over once, the stuff that automatically came up for me was the stuff that I just read. Those were the easiest words to find. So a lot of it was super, super easy to memorize, I guess. I wasn't really memorizing. I was sort of generating it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a difficult process. I don't think I would ever do a soap opera ever.
It's so much fun. And you know what else is nice is you have a lot of days off. Like you might work 3 days. Mm-hmm. And so it was the best time. I would garden, and I knew I didn't have to go to audition that day. I knew I didn't have to do anything. I could take care of my house better, and it was a lot to love about it. I knew when I could go on a vacation or all those things.
I remember hearing this one story that Ed O'Neill told in an interview. He was on a soap opera that was filmed in New York in the early 80s. Oh, God, I can't remember which one. And him and, Michael Gross were in the back of this charter bus that used to pick everybody up and take them to the studio. They're in the back of this bus, and meanwhile, the stars of the show are in the front of the bus. And he said him and Michael Gross are having a conversation about girls. Meanwhile, the stars of the show are having a conversation about the price of gold. Because they were making big money on that show.
Yeah.
Because they were just day players,
Yeah.
So let me ask you this really quick. What made you go into teaching acting?
I guess I was a natural teacher, according to my mother. And if you look back at me at 9 years old, starting to teach a class, it was just something I really liked, supporting the art in other actors. lot as an actor, and I would work and work and work really hard to figure out how to get through those problems. And so when I saw other people stumbling where I had already worked it out, I enjoyed helping them get through that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it was just something I always liked to do.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm glad that at least, when acting roles dry up or what have you, at least, you have something that you can make money on. It's your passion,
And it let me stay home, with my child when I finally did get pregnant. Mm-hmm. And it let me be around her and raise her and not be off on sets and things. So my life has worked out in beautiful ways that have always supported my biggest values, and I've been very fortunate in that.
Oh, that is wonderful. I see you directed a short film called Bloodshed and Blue. Do you have plans of making any more short films after quarantine?
Well, those plans are always there. I've been asked to direct some things, and then quarantine fell, and other things that I've done, the writers, in the end, didn't ever get done, had a little spat. I'm up to direct a really cool, what would it be called? Kind of a murder mystery, sci-fi kind of a thing, that's going to be a web series. But we'll see. Everything is now getting pushed. So
we'll see. We'll see. So really quickly, there's this silly game that I like to play with my guests. And how this works is these are slumber party questions. And I ask you the question, you answer it, and then you ask me the same question and I answer it.
Okay.
Crystal, are you ticklish?
No. Are you ticklish?
I am baby ticklish, yes.
Baby ticklish?
Yeah, I have a knee-jerk reaction when I get tickled.
Oh, I do have to be prepared. I have to know that it's coming, but I just relax.
Yeah. What's your favorite part of the body?
A favorite part of the body? Mm-hmm. In what way, though?
Oh, it could be, it doesn't matter, just anything.
Favorite part of the body? I don't know that I have a favorite part of the body. I like all the parts of the body. Eyes.
Eyes, okay, that's a popular one.
That makes sense. Tommy, do you have a favorite part of the body?
Yes. No matter whose it is, I love the belly button. What color are your toenails painted?
They are maroon. Are your toenails painted, Tommy?
Not today, they're not. Last time they were purple with sparkles.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've been painting them since I was 13.
Oh, fun.
What would you say is your best personality trait?
My supportiveness, my helpfulness, my desire to support other people.
I can see
what
that.
What would you say?
My sense of empathy.
Nice.
And then my favorite question, is there a stinky smell that just makes you gag?
A durong. I don't know if I say it right. It's sort of like a jackfruit, but it's a durong. When I was in Brazil, it smells just like an outhouse. It's the stinkiest fruit I've ever smelled. And I thought they were playing a trick on me when they made me, what was that drink? It was an alcoholic drink, and they put this durong fruit in it. Before I had it with like strawberries or whatever, it was good. Mm-hmm. And so I thought they were, because this group of people they tricked me a lot. And so I thought they were trying to trick me into drinking this stinky thing. Mm-hmm. And I spit it out, and I went and brushed my tongue off, and I hooted and hollered and moaned and yelled at them and made a big fuss over it. And it turned out it's a specialty there, and they really liked it, and I insulted a lot of people. But, I thought it was terrible. What is the stinky smell you don't like?
Either farts or feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like the smell of feet. Odd, huh?
I like them. Well, I like them when they're clean, but they're dirty. That's a no bueno for me. Well, Crystal, thank you so much.
I have to wrap it up. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on today. And oh my God, I'm a little heartbroken because your friends list is full right now. But let's stay in touch.
You can follow me on the page.
Yes, let's stay in touch. And you have yourself a happy Easter and stay safe.
Thank you. All right. Bye, Tommy.
Bye bye. Okay. Bye bye. Well, there you have it. Crystal Carson. Ain't she a sweetheart? Ah, she's a very nice, humble lady, and I'm glad she's still in the game of acting and she's teaching it to people. Also, I'd like to say happy birthday to one of my favorite guests, Karen Richmond, who, by the way, is on Crystal's friends list. I just noticed as I was trying to friend her. Happy birthday, Karen, my favorite Gidget. You are just awesome. I love you, darling. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.